Can you hear me?
Yes, loud.
Yes.
Yes, Michelle.
Alonda, you got a haircut.
Yeah, I got all my hair cut.
Wow.
Your summer look.
Yeah, a little late.
You ready, Michelle?
Ready when you are.
Thank you. All right. I'll call to order the City of Tarpon Springs Budget Advisory Committee meeting Thursday, October 15th, 2 p.m. Roll call, please.
Chair Banther,
Here.
Vice Chair Hales,
Here.
Mr. Dodger absent and excused, Mr. Kudos,
Here.
Mr. McCloy,
Here.
Ms. Hall,
Here.
and Mr. Bergman.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michelle. First item is discussion overview of 2021 budget. I guess that'll be Ron.
Good evening, everybody. That's good evening. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm used to working into the evening lately. No, but let me share my screen with you here. I got a brief presentation on a couple things here. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, great. Like I said, what I want to do is just briefly go over the budget for fiscal year 2021, the one you all worked on, a little bit on COVID-19 and the effects on the city, and then an update on the fiscal year 2020 financials. The 2021 budget, and as you probably know, it finally got approved on September 15th, the final public hearing. You know, it's a long process, you know, from when it started in February to when it finally ended in September. And some years it just seems to be getting longer. But what I'm just showing here is just wanted to briefly show you the total budget and how it ended up for fiscal year 2021. On the far left, you've got the 2021 budget, and highlighted in yellow, it ended up at $63,278,499. An increase of $733,000 over last year's budget, or 1.15. I mean, a decrease of $733,000 under the previous years, or 1.15% under. And as I always like to look at, since they're 91% of the budget is the 5 largest funds. We've got about 30 funds, but these are the 5 largest. You know, the general fund ended up at $26,786,585. An increase of 2.97%, or $772,000. Most of that due to pay increases, the new internal auditor position, and the paramedics from the grant that were transferred into the general fund. Water and sewer fund ended up at $18,878,950, a decrease of 6.28%, or almost 1.3 million decrease. And most of that was because a couple large capital projects last year, new test wells and another water line that was put in. Sanitation fund ended up at 6.2 million, a 15% increase, and most of that is due to the just the cost of the contract with Waste Management. Stormwater fund, 1.7 million budget, a decrease of 1.8 million, a 51% decrease. And most of that's because of the big Pent Gross project for like $3 million. That's really just getting started right now. The penny fund ended up with a budget of 3.5 million, about 1.1 million more, and mostly just due to more capital projects being budgeted. And as I say, those 5 funds are 91% of the total budget. Next, I'm just going to try to hit on highlights. You know, the millage rate was maintained at 5.37. The water rate increased 2.75%. Sewer rate increased 2.75%, along with the reclaim 2.75%. Those are all in the ordinance. Through 2028, they're at 2.75%. Refuse per the contract increased 3.33%. Recycling was an increase of 1.63%. And stormwater increased 50 cents per month. And that's also in the ordinances. I think until 2025, it increases 50 cents a year. Salary increases, pay increases for general employees were between 3 and 6%. I'm trying to, the increases between 4 and 6% is the effort by the city to bring all the lower income and lower rate employees up to the $15 an hour. We're getting closer. I think we only have 8 or 10 left that are under $15 an hour. Police and fire unions still under negotiation for their salary increases. Well, we might have finalized the police one, but I don't know if it's been totally finalized Monday night. The insurance premiums, health insurance premium ended up a 2% decrease. Dental insurance was a 15.8% decrease. Life insurance premium was a 6.7% increase. Long-term disability, a 17.5% increase. Property liability was a 1.1% increase. Workers' compensation, a 15.2% increase. Retirement plans, general employees pension, no change. It's a defined contribution. It's still at 8.7%. The police pension, we funded at the annual required contribution. It was originally at the 609,000 of what was from the actuary. But for the first time, the city made a lump sum payment just last week of 577,000, so we could save $31,000 by paying it all at the beginning of the fiscal year instead of before. We would pay it weekly with each payroll check run each week throughout the year. So we decided let's just make a lump sum payment, save some money, and I think I calculated even I kept the money in the bank and we made the weekly payments. We'd only earned maybe $3,000, so we saved $31,000 on the police pension contribution by paying it the first week of October. Same with the fire pension. We did the same thing. We would have had to pay over the course of the year $799,000, but we made a payment last week for $752,000. So we're saving $47,000 by paying it the first week of October. New positions in the budget, as we mentioned, the internal auditor position, and there was also a code enforcement officer position put in the budget. Well, we had one before. We sort of reactivated the position. Just trying to hit on some of the major capital projects. As up top, it says the CIP total is 9.7 million. Public safety, we had police vehicles, 400,000, body cameras, 222,000, bunker gear, 122,000. Then some water and sewer projects, water pipe valve replacement, 500,000, manhole sewer lines, 250,000, force main improvements, 250,000. And stormwater, we got design work for the Dodecanese pump station, 307,000, design work for South Spring, 127,000. And some highway transportation related projects, sidewalks, 100,000, street paving, 150,000, Brick Street road reconstruction, 150,000, roadway reconfiguration along Tarpon Avenue, 750,000, Anclo turn basin, 600,000, design work for Orange Street, 175,000, Jasmine sidewalks, 100,000, parking, 100,000, and then getting into some cultural and recreation. We got money for Extend Pinellas Trail, 312,000, and Dorset basketball courts, 45,000. So those items right there are almost 4.7 million of the 9.7 million CIP. Getting into COVID-19 and how it affected our financials. What we were trying to do during the year when COVID started was trying to track the receipts. And May was the first month where the receipts we got really basically from March collections. So going across there, we went in May, what we are comparing is May of 2020 to what we received in May of 2019. So for May of 2020, we received 101,000 less than we did the previous year for those sales taxes, half-cent sales tax, revenue sharing, penny sales tax, and gas tax. We did the same for June, comparing June of this year to June of the previous year. So we lost 163,000. From July to July, we lost 60,000. August, we started seeing some improvements. As you can see, we had a positive number there, and mostly that's the revenue sharing and the penny sales tax. So we went up 27,000. And like I said, this is comparing actuals to actuals this year to the previous years for those months. September, wasn't as good as August, but it's still in the positive, net effect of $146. But overall for the year, for those months, we're down $297,000. That's highlighted there. Other revenues that were affected by COVID-19, comparing this year to last year, recreation fees are down 171,000. Cultural events, which is mostly the theaters and the performing arts, because it was closed down, $138,000 were down in revenue. Code enforcement fines were down 35,000. Interest earnings, well, you know, before the pandemic, we were earning close to 2%. Now, if I'm trying to buy something, I can barely get 30 basis points. So we're down about 144,000 in interest earnings. We waived penalties and turnout fees in the water and sewer fund. So we're down about 131,000 because of waiving those fees. Golf course revenues those first few months were down because they shut down the golf course for a little over a month. But they've had some of their best months of June, July, August for a long time. And they recouped all those loss in revenues. So they got at the end of the year, they've got a positive number of $9,883 that they ended up, because they were just showing, maybe people are just trying to get out of the house and they went to go play golf. So total revenue loss of those items was at $611,000. Let me get out of here for a second here. I think I've lost my share here. I'll be back. Just don't worry about it. I'll be back. I sometimes lose my presentations. I've noticed with the Adobe documents, if I keep them up too long, they sort of go somewhere. I don't know where, but they go. I could tell when I came up, that was a blank screen there on my next slide. Let me share the screen again. Sorry about, so I can continue on here. Sorry about that. Okay, hopefully I'm back. Okay, that was that slide. This was the next slide. We're keeping track of the expenditures for COVID-19. A lot of equipment, supplies. A lot of the expenses is dealing with the Zoom and the virtual meetings. You know, the equipment and supplies, 70,000. Disinfection of public facilities, 55,000. You know, the cost of the virtual meetings for all these different boards, 248,000. Temperature checks, $2,000 for a total of $377,000. Now, hopefully we're filing with FEMA to try to get some money back from this, and the county is also going to maybe chip in 12.5% if we can get that back. Not counting on it, but we're trying. Financial update on the previous year, 2020. You know, most other revenues besides those sales tax were meeting a budget, except for those COVID-related ones. And just that you probably remember, we had the small business endurance grant for $155,000. And not sure if you're all new, but the city received $720,000 as part of the perpetual exclusive easement for the cell tower at the fire station 70. And which is good news, water consumption. The last couple of years it's been down, but the water consumption this year for 2020 has been up. So water's up 3.5% and the fluent consumption's up 8%. So that's good news. We're sort of worried the last couple of years it had been down. And as mentioned before, interest earnings have gone down due to the pandemic. You know, construction activity didn't stop. In fact, it was pretty busy, and permit fees are over budget this year for 2020. Impact fees have been right on budget. That's water, sewer, police, fire, library, recreation impact fees. We had an impact fee study performed by our consultants. And they suggested that we decrease the rates for police, fire, library, parks and recreation and general government. Went before the board the first week of October. And so all those fees were decreased. Those are the impact fees. As you probably remember, the marina fees were increased in March of 2019, and I see that helping the revenues in the marina fund, where before it was at a loss, but now I'm hoping that, you know, the revenues are more equal to the operating expenditures. So we were decreasing an operating loss about 20,000 a year. So I'm hoping this will bring us more back to at least break even or be a little profit or income. Other things going on, you probably might remember, we revised the investment policy so we could do more CDs and treasury bills. Debt, we made the water plant semi-annual payment in September. That's about 1.5 million. Budget resolutions, we did the first one last December, bringing over things from the previous year. The second budget resolution was done in July, just stuff that came up during the year. We'll have one third one in November to clean up everything for the year. And that'll be it for budget resolutions for 2020. Other things going on and keeping us busy and out of trouble is the internal auditor is working on our payroll timekeeping audit. We got the external auditor, and I think a couple of you were on the committee there. We selected, you know, you all selected Maude and Jenkins for 5 years. They seem very good. We've started working with them on the 2020 audit. Something else going on, the board Tuesday night just approved doing the water and sewer revenue sufficiency analysis, which will be performed by the consultant. This study goes out and looks at all the revenues, projection for 10 years, all the expenses and capital items. And really what it gets down to is trying to see what rates do you need to support the water and sewer system. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Thanks, Ron. Any questions?
Ron, can you unshare your screen? It'll probably be easy. There you go. Thank you.
Well, let me find my Zoom thing now. I lost it. Hold on. I can't stand Zoom. I can't find my video, but I assume you all can hear and see me. Is there any questions?
Yeah, and I apologize for losing the screen. For some reason, when I've got Adobe stuff, if a document stays up too long, I lose it. I didn't think that was sort of quick though, so I had to just restart it.
No worries at all, Ron. Thank you. You're doing great per usual.
Okay. One question, Ron. You noted in several of the charts the drop off of the income this year, COVID related. Just generally, not going into specific numbers, but how did we budget for 2021? Did you assume that we would continue to have this down in those categories?
Well, I'm a little hesitant to talk to somebody with a Steelers hat on.
That's okay. The undefeated Steelers, by the way.
Okay, so far. Yes, we did budget a 15%. I budgeted a 15% decline in those sales tax revenues, but I did for the first 6 months, you know. So
okay.
Yeah, 15% is what I budgeted.
Good.
Is that it, Claire? Anything else?
That's it.
All right. Thanks, Claire. Everybody else good? You'll have to unmute and talk because, again, I can't see everyone's screen in one thing here. I assume silence is acceptance. So we'll go to number 2. Unless you have more, Ron. You have more for number 1? Are you good?
That's it. I'm good.
Oh, all right. Thanks, Ron.
Sure.
Number 2 is discussion of the internal auditor and the review of the applications. I assume that's Mark, maybe. Michelle?
I've got Ms. Niff on here. Obviously,
Okay.
to
All right.
start
Well, okay.
to start off with, obviously the commission has charged you to review the applications for the internal auditor position, and Jane Niffen, our HR director, is on here to tell you about the process you're going to be going into. Jane, you on here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
First of all, I'd like to tell you that the closing date for the applications is this afternoon at 5 p.m. We're planning on sending them to you no later than Monday. But what I want to do right now is to go through the document that I sent to Ron. I see he forwarded forwarded it to you. It's the Internal Auditor Selection Criteria Matrix. I did this so it would make it a little easier for you to look at the different candidates and actually compare them. What I've done is I've put all the functions that are included in the job description. I've taken the 6 area essential functions and kind of condensed them into a format that's hopefully easier for you to look through. Basically, what happens is you're obviously not going to find people that are doing exactly the same thing that's in our job descriptions, but it does give you an idea of the functions that are going to be needed. And you can compare those with what people have listed in their resumes. We do have 9 applications so far. A couple of them, 2 or 3 of them look fairly good. But that's for you to decide. So basically this document is really there just to kind of simplify and kind of screen. It's not an all be and all end document, but it does help you because you can put checkpoints. If somebody meets the criteria or has the experience that we're looking for, you can give them 2 points in that area, that box. If they don't have it, they don't get any points. We also have equivalencies throughout the job description. It does say that there's an equivalence if you can determine that. So what we're trying to do is if you feel that they have something equivalent that is fully equivalent, then you can give them 2 points. If it's partial, you can give them 1 point. And then there's a column for comments. You may want to make comments on each of these individuals so you remember them when you come back to actually do your deliberations in public. We're going to be sending them out along with the job description, a tentative schedule. And I don't know, I'm going to have to ask you, I have set, I believe, Thursday, October 29th as probably the day. That gives you about a week and a half to go through the applications and make your notes. And you don't necessarily have to rank them, but it does give you an idea of who has more points in an area and who might possibly be a better selection for final interviews. You will be receiving the applications, the job description, the job announcement, and the tentative schedule. Are there any questions?
Yes, thank you, Jane. So the commission wants us to review all the applications, rank and score. They want us to recommend somebody like particular as a consensus from this board, or what specifically are they wanting again?
I believe they're looking for you to screen. And I'm pretty sure they don't want to be interviewing 9 candidates. So the purpose of this document is to help you screen people. And I wouldn't say you need to rank them. You need to say that they are in the running for the final interview with the commission. And I would suggest that perhaps since we have 9, you'll get a better picture as you look through them to see, some of them will jump out at you as being having more experience or more qualifications or relevant qualifications. So for me to tell you to pare it down to a certain number, that'll probably come out in your deliberations when you sit down together to finalize the candidates.
So we're just saying if they should still be in the running, or if they should not be in the running, and then that list is given to the commissioners, correct?
Yes.
And we're just reviewing them on paper. We're not going to be interviewing in person, correct?
No, one of the candidates is from Nevada, so I kind of think it might be wise for you to do all your deliberations virtually. That's up to you.
You mean, but we're not going to be talking to them like even on we're just reviewing them on paper. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Mark, is that all correct? Our assumptions?
Yes, mainly you're going through the applicants and finding the viable candidates that you think should be on the list for the BOC to interview. A lot of times we have these and we have 40 and 50 applications. You have to go to, obviously they can't interview them all, and you come up with a top 3, a top 5, a top 10. You've only got 9. So, it's a little different in this case, but that's what you're trying to do. The ones that you think from the variety of things from the form that you get are ones that the commission should look at and interview for the job.
Okay, well, if that's what the commission wants, that's what we'll do. So, anybody else have questions or clarification needed? All good. Okay, is there anything else, Ms. Niffen or Mark, that you want to say about this, or?
I don't think so. Again, the board, appreciate your work and your knowledge, and thought you would be a good group to pare the list down to the people that they should interview. So we all have faith in you.
All right.
One quick question. Do we have an internal auditor now, or is this a brand new position?
Brand new position.
Okay.
It used to be one many, many, many years ago.
Okay.
But
Gotcha. Okay, understand.
I do want to say that we're planning on sending you out packages. Our sustainability person isn't here, so I can say we're going to send out paper copies, because you might want to make notes on the actual applications and in your comment section. It's a lot easier. You don't have to print them off. We'll make sure you get the package.
Great.
So these are going to be mailed within a few days.
You're going to receive them hopefully by Monday.
Thank you.
All right.
Would it be easier if they just picked them up through the drive-through instead of putting
Yeah.
them in the mail? I mean, is that easier for you, everybody, or convenient?
Fine by me.
Emailed or no?
Just a suggestion.
Oh, that's fine with me.
Fine.
We froze.
When will they be available?
By Monday.
Jay, when are they available for them to pick up in the drive-through?
Oh, am I muted again? No, Monday.
What I can do is I can send an email out to everybody as soon as I have them in the office,
Mhm.
and then I'll let you know they're ready.
Okay.
Good, thank you.
Did you want to schedule that meeting for the 29th, or is that convenient for everybody?
Works for me. Michelle, when are we going to be meeting in person again? I forget what the city's policy is on that.
We believe it's going to be November.
I'll be there happily, but will there be a virtual option for any members that wish to stay at home?
I believe if we have a quorum, that can be happened, but we'll get those rules. We'll get those rules set, because we'll have to be ready for November with the various rules on that. So we'll have that for you. But I believe there may be a capability if we have a quorum, but we're still looking into that.
Okay. If anybody has any personal reasons why they wish to stay at home, if you could just email Michelle directly, please. But I'll happily be there, of course.
Happily.
Yes.
And just an FYI on the internal auditor position, like Mark was saying, years and years ago, we had a full-time position. But for the last 10, almost 15 years, we've been hiring an outside firm to do our internal auditing work. We've been contracting out. We still have a contract. That's the one doing the payroll timekeeping audit right now. So just an FYI.
Does this position report to you, Ron?
No, it reports to the Board of Commissioners. It's a charter position.
Okay.
It's in the charter for this position.
Anybody else have questions or concerns?
Okay, so that Thursday, October 29th, you'll be reviewing the internal auditor applications. Is that a 2:00 meeting for everybody?
Fine with me.
Good.
I think that's good.
Okay. I'll send a reminder out before that.
All right. Are we good with number 2? Anybody have other concerns or comments? All right. Do we have any public comments? Anybody waiting to speak?
We do not have any public in attendance at this time, sir.
All right, thank you. We have any staff comments? Michelle, Mark, Ms. Niffen, Chief, or Chief
No.
Emeritus, whatever we're addressing you as. I like that name, Chief Emeritus. Let's start calling it that. All right, we're good. Okay. We have any board comments?
I don't have a comment, but I have a question. For the detailed budget book for this next year, is it possible that you can incorporate a change as a percentage as a column in the detailed budget book?
Yes, we could do that.
Okay, thank you.
You want a percent, just so that what we're budgeting versus the previous year budget. So
Yes,
that's
if
a-
there's a decrease or increase.
we can do
as a
that for you.
percentage.
Anybody else? Okay, I believe we just discussed our next meeting, and that will be on the 29th at 2 p.m. on Zoom here, right, Michelle?
Yes.
Very good. Anybody have any future agenda items for that meeting besides what we've discussed? If you have any come up, please email Michelle. All right, if everything's finished, we'll adjourn at 2:30 p.m. Thank you.